It's 6 o'clock on Saturday, the 18th of January, 2020. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Oliver, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Making headlines tonight, the solemn Thank You Albania Academy organized by the Bogdani Police Center of St. Mother Teresa Cathedral in Pristina today highlighted the difficult times during the Kosovo War. March 24th, 1999 was an extraordinary day for me because it reminds me of my birthday as well. I had my 30th birthday that day, but I couldn't celebrate because of the even better news that came out that day for me and every Albanian. That is, the start of the NATO intervention to end the genocide and barbarism in Kosovo, said the president of Albania, Ilir Meta. He underlined that Albania was responsible for the steps it took for Kosovo in those times. You rightly say, thank you, Albania, even though Albania had to face an extraordinary humanitarian crisis that emanated from Kosovo because of the Milosevic genocide. But often when we meet with other colleagues of that time, we find it difficult to believe how a crisis of this magnitude could have happened. The extraordinary humanitarian crisis was met with dedication and commitment of every single Albanian. Kosovo's President Hashim Thaçi thanked Albania for its help. I thank Albania for opening its doors and the hearts in the days of the Kosovo tragedy at the height of this war. Kosovo is forever grateful to Albania. Without Albania, Kosovo would not be free, liberated, and independent. Former Prime Minister Pandeli Majko said Albanians did their job when they came out to help during the difficult period of the Kosovo War. We, who were leading the institutions in that difficult time, simply did our job. There were others here in Kosovo without any kind of office or institution that fought for the freedom of the Albanian nation, because in essence, Kosovo's freedom was Albania's freedom. In this context, what happened in 1999 was what usually happens to anyone. Everyone is defined by their hard days. I don't believe they define us by our good days. We only did our duties, so we feel good and bad when we thank you because we are all brothers. Now, do you ever say that your brother bothers you sometimes? Because he does. We nevertheless have to endure each other. We must remember those difficult days when we were defined and determined for who we were, and above all, where we were going. Invited this morning at the solemn Thank You Albania Academy, organized by the Bogdani Police Center of St. Mother Teresa Cathedral, Majko mentioned the sacrifices of each of Kosovo's leaders. I'm in front of the president of Kosovo, who at the time did not believe he knew he was going to become the president of Kosovo, but defined himself as a representative of the head of this delegation and its aspirations. Now, I am in front of the Prime Minister of Kosovo. I do not believe that when he held his brother's body, he thought that he would become Prime Minister. I'm in front of Albin Kurti. I do not believe that in the Serbian prison at that time, he thought that he would one day represent a new political force and be a candidate for the Prime Minister. We don't have an Ibrahim Rugova here. Former Prime Minister Pandeli Majko shared his fears and worries about the major decision to be taken and how the disagreements were put aside and so as to be united for a purpose. Together with Ilir Meta, Prime Minister Edi Rama, and many others, we gathered. We were so obedient and strong. I assure you, we were worried and scared. I assure you that it was in our minds that we would be remembered for generations to come. But it cannot go without saying that what President Meta said, that in those difficult moments, all Albanians and in Albania became one, left and right, with abolished communists and legalists. With Sali Berisha, we were about to be killed in 1997, but after the Rejak massacre, we called on all opposition parties, where the common thought was when Serbs kill us, we should join in. He also mentioned that the church and the mosque so as to remind Albanians not only how to be thanked, but also how to forgive. And I think that now, in a new era of European integration, we, in these conditions of our self-determination from this difficult moment of 1999, have to look a little further. You have to remember, but you also have to know how to think and how to forgive. I am not one of those people to whom it's easy to preach to, but it seems that I myself have started to do it now. I find it difficult to travel to some of the capitals of the region, often understanding concepts of free movement, but starting and correcting things that I have not touched upon until yesterday, because I have to change. We have to change, and we have to do it together. In 1999, we realized that we couldn't do it without one another. Today, I have come to say that we have embarked on a journey from 1999 until forever, whenever, every day, for better or for worse, we will always stick together. One of the 8 people on the list of Albania's most wanted was taken into police custody after a raid in the village of Hoshtima. Javair Yonuzi, who was sentenced to 25 years in prison for murder, suddenly saw himself surrounded by Renea Special Forces. The Directorate of Special Forces Operation in the state police then opened fire, risking the lives of effectives. While setting up the security perimeter, 47-year-old Yonuzi noticed the police and ran out of the apartment with a pistol, which he held in his hand. The Renea Special Forces called on him to surrender and drop his firearm, but Yonuzi subsequently opened fire on Special Forces, endangering their lives, stated the state police earlier today. The Special Forces responded to neutralize the target, and in the process, Yonuzi was wounded in the leg. The 47-year-old was then taken immediately to the hospital, where officials deemed his condition non-life-threatening. The operation, codenamed Hoshtima, was finalized this morning at around 7:05 a.m. Who is Javair Yonushi? The 47-year-old was convicted by the Vlora Judicial District Court and sentenced to 25 years in prison for premeditated murder. He is also on the list of 8 high-risk people for whom the police have long been pursuing. The chief of Dibur County's traffic sector, Robert Aga, has now been suspended. Robert Aga's suspension came after the arrest of his brother, Paitim Aga, during Operation Transit, where 32.5 kilograms of chocolate cannabis was seized. Paitim Aga, who is 51 years old and a resident of the former train station area in Tirana, was previously convicted of producing and selling narcotics. Police announced today that the operation that led to the arrest of 7 individuals, among them the brother of the chief of the Dibur district traffic sector. Chocolate cannabis was obtained in Greece and entered into Albania via the Konispol border by 2 nationals residing in Gjirokastër. The narcotics would then be transported to the city of Tirana with the aim of later launching them into a city located in the northern part of the country, then to traffic them outside of Albania, police said. Furthermore, it was not only Robert Aga's name that came up in the vote buying of surveillance tapes published by Bild, there were also several others. Although already on the table of electoral reform as equals to the majority, the opposition continues to accuse the head of government of being the one to be dismissed as soon as possible because of his links to crime. Atakorcha, the leader of the SMI party, said that through his policies, he was only bringing the country's depopulation to a halt, and that cooperation on electoral reform came to pave the way for early elections. After agreeing to the electoral reform and then moving to earlier elections, this incompetent government needs to no longer hold the future of Albania and Albanians hostage to the EU, Kuremadi said. While Albanian President Ilir Meta recalled the 1999 exodus from Pristina, Kuremadi leveled charges against Edi Rama, this time over a lawsuit he filed a few days ago over his Kosovo counterpart Ramush Haradinaj. His grotesque lawsuit is not only aimed at Ramush Haradinaj as an individual, but as a disruption of national unity. With such a lawsuit, Edi Rama has stained not, in this case, Haradinaj's reputation, but rather the fight for the liberation of Kosovo, with the victims and their blood spilled about by the Serbian ethnic cleansing, Kuremadi said. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you so much for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and have a good night.